In a quiet town where nothing ever happened, a murder case was closed in less than a week. A suspect confessed, the evidence matched, and everyone breathed a sigh of relief. It was over. But for one detective, a single, tiny detail refused to sit right. And that detail was about to unravel everything. It all started on a peaceful evening when emergency services received a call. A man's voice, surprisingly calm and controlled, reported finding his wife unresponsive in their home. He said he'd just gotten back from work. There were no signs of forced entry, no struggle, nothing out of place. It all sounded believable, almost too believable. When investigators arrived, the husband repeated his story. He left for work at 8 a.m., came home at 6:15 p.m., found her, and called immediately. It was a clean timeline, a clear explanation. Within 48 hours, the evidence started pointing right back at him. Security footage showed no one else entering the home all day, and phone records placed him nearby when he claimed to be elsewhere. Under pressure, he confessed. He said it was an argument that escalated tragically. He signed the statement. Case closed. Or so it seemed. The town moved on, and the news cycle shifted. But one detective couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. The husband's 911 call. It felt rehearsed, not emotional, not chaotic. He listened to the recording again and again. That's when he heard it. A faint sound in the background. A door closing. But according to the husband's story, he had just walked in. No one else was supposed to be there. That small sound blew the case wide open. Investigators pulled the traffic camera footage again, this time zooming in closer. At 3:17 p.m., nearly 3 hours before he claimed to have gotten home, his car was spotted passing a nearby intersection. The timestamp was undeniable. He had been home much earlier. So why did he wait until 6:15 p.m. to call 911? The confession started to fall apart. The details didn't align with the physical evidence. Then came another twist. Digital forensics found emails sent from his work account during the hours he claimed to be in the office. But they weren't sent manually. They were pre-written and scheduled to send automatically, creating a digital alibi. It was a calculated plan, but it wasn't perfect. One email draft had been accidentally saved instead of scheduled. The timestamp showed it was written at 2:52 p.m. from a computer inside the home. The confession was withdrawn. The investigation shifted. If the confession was staged, what really happened that afternoon? That's when another detail resurfaced. Neighbors remembered hearing an argument a few days before the incident, but it wasn't between the couple. It was between the husband and another man, a co-worker investigators hadn't looked at closely before. Suddenly, deleted calls and messages between the husband and this co-worker were discovered. Then, security footage from a nearby gas station showed something crucial. At 3:26 p.m., just minutes after the husband's car was seen returning home, another vehicle entered the neighborhood. It was registered to the co-worker, and it stayed parked nearby for almost an hour. The story was no longer a sudden argument. It was something coordinated. But how? And why? The motive soon became clear: financial pressure, mounting debt, and a recently updated life insurance policy. But there was still no direct evidence placing the co-worker inside the home. Just digital shadows and gaps in time. And yet, there was still that faint sound on the 911 call. That door. Audio specialists enhanced the recording. The sound wasn't just any door. It matched the exact hinge tone of the home's back entrance, which led to an alley not visible from the street cameras. The original confession hadn't just been a lie to cover his own guilt. It was meant to hide a partnership. Months later, under renewed questioning, the husband finally admitted he hadn't acted alone. The co-worker had been there. It wasn't a spontaneous argument that went wrong. It was a planned confrontation designed to look impulsive. But the plan had collapsed, and the rushed confession was a desperate attempt to protect his accomplice. The case that had seemed so simple was anything but. It wasn't a crime of passion, but a crime of cold, hard calculation. A crime of miscalculation. And it was all unraveled by one tiny, overlooked sound. If that one detective hadn't trusted his gut, the truth would have stayed buried forever. The case was reopened, the charges were expanded, and the town that thought it had closure learned a chilling lesson. Sometimes, the smallest detail is the loudest one of all.